Om Agyantimrandhasya Gyananjanashalakeya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishmanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paditanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, verse number 1. Hopefully today will be the concluding discussion on this verse. So Prabhupada further writes, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, Adi Ras, devoid of all mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is a focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, which is Adi Rasa. So the idea behind this life is to enjoy, basically. And this is what Prabhupada is writing. So sex life is not unreal because the enjoyment is there. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is stressing on Adi Rasa. Adi Rasa means the pure psychology of that enjoyment. Means in the spiritual world, this enjoyment exists. The idea of this enjoyment there is everybody is serving Krishna to please him, to make him happy. In return, everybody gets pleased because another name of Krishna is Govinda. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada explains, Govinda means, Go means senses, and Vinda means one who gives pleasure to the senses. Like when Arjun was asking Krishna, oh Krishna, your name is Govinda, but I don't see any point in fighting this war because I don't see any pleasure coming to me. But the real meaning of Govinda is when we give pleasure to Krishna, then in return we get pleasure ourselves. Our senses get pleased ourselves. But the idea is when we give pleasure to Krishna. So that's why his name is Govinda. So the sex life or the life to give pleasure to ourselves is not unreal. It is real. But the real reality, this pleasure life exists in the spiritual world. Here in material world, everything is perverted reflection of whatever happens in the spiritual world. So this is what Prabhupada is writing. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world, where everybody is trying to please Krishna. The center of attention, center of pleasure, center of every kind of work is Krishna. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. So, sex life means relationship between two people, two persons. So the original absolute truth, it cannot be impersonal because the relationship for relationship there has to be two persons. So for those people who say the absolute truth or ultimate is impersonal, or Brahm Jyoti is ultimate, they're completely wrong. They're wrongly aligned. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. So impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life. Why? First, they don't believe in the ultimate relationship between a Jiva and Supreme Lord and Parameshwar and Krishna. So, but the tendency to have that relationship always exists in the soul. It's inherent in the soul. Because that relationship is a basis of our existence in the spiritual life. In the spiritual world, the basis of existence is relationship between Jiva and Krishna. In any of the five rasas, that is a different story. Shantras, Dasiras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuriras, in any of the rasas. But the relationship is the basis. But the impersonalist philosophers, because they cannot conceive of relationship in the spiritual world, they think it's all Brahmjyoti, all negation. There's no relationship, there's nothing, you just merge and be there eternally. So Prabhupada's writing, they have given indirect impetus because the soul wants that relationship. So they indirectly they give impetus to the mundane relationships in the material world. Consequently, man, without information of the actual spiritual form of sex, has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and spiritual sex life. So the relationship there is always to please Krishna. And in return, the jiva, he or the person, he gets more pleasure than Krishna himself does. This is a reason, like I explained yesterday, Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he wanted to understand what kind of love Srimati Radharani has for him, what pleasure she achieves by having this kind of relationship or this kind of feelings for Krishna. So Krishna himself wants to understand the mentality, the sentiments, the feelings of a devotee. Because he feels this is more in amount, in intensity, the pleasure that the devotee receives, then Krishna says that I receive. That's where then he gets kind of curious. So in spiritual life also there are relationships, but those are pure, uncontaminated relationship, especially the relationship between Jiva and Krishna, and also between two Jivas also. Just like I think Harinath Prabhu asked this question the other day, if in the spiritual world also there are families, yes, there are families, just like when Krishna comes and performs his pastimes on Bhauma Vrindavan on earth. So there are so many, he has cowherd boyfriends, so boyfriends, they have their parents, they have his own families. So the families are there. But the relationship between that, in those families also is like they all want to serve Krishna. They all want to please Krishna. That's the focal point of every relationship, even in the spiritual world. In the material world, the focal point of anybody is me. That's why it's called, this bank is called ICICI Bank. That's the material world. Why? ICICI means what? I see what? I see what I. So this is the basis of material world. We only want to see ourselves. My pleasure, my comfort, my profit, my everything. That is I. That is material world. Janasya moho ayam aham mameti. They always think about themselves. If I'm not happy in any relationship, I'll get out of it. If because of any relationship I'm getting displeasure, I'm becoming sad, then it's not good for me. It's all about I. The spiritual world is completely different. It's all about Krishna. So when we come to a spiritual organization or the spiritual path, so this is where we have to do our paradigm shift from I to Krishna. From I to the superiors. And that's why it's called the training. This is our training period, that we are getting trained, we are getting purified to be able to go back and live in the spiritual world. Because there everything is for Krishna's pleasure. Even cows are grazing for pleasure of Krishna, so they can give plenty of milk for the pleasure of Krishna. Everybody, even, snakes also give pleasure to Krishna. How? Once Tamal Krishna Maharaj narrated this pastime. Once Radharani and Krishna, they were in the garden, and somehow Srimati Radharani is in a different mood. She's a leftist mood, it is said. So she was a little upset with Krishna for something. Krishna always does something to tease Radharani, and then Radharani gets upset, and he gets more pleasure by trying to pacify her. So Radharani was upset with Krishna, and she was so upset that she was not even talking to Krishna. It happens. In the material world, it also happens. Girlfriend, boyfriend, they fight, and girlfriend stops talking to the boy. So this snake, he was in the garden. He saw this, and he said, I have to serve them. I have to somehow unite them. So snake slithered in the grass, and he kind of made some noise. So Radharani saw that snake coming towards her, and she got so afraid, she jumped. And she jumped where? She jumped in the arms of Krishna, and they got together. So snakes are also serving Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world. This is how the service is. So what to speak of cows and deers and birds and even the bamboo stick is serving Krishna as a flute, or anything else, or even any person in Dasiras or in Sakyaras, Madhuraras, anywhere, they all are serving Radha and Krishna. So this is the pinnacle or epitome of spiritual life, epitome of our spiritual happiness, when we get a chance to serve Krishna. But the service has to be in the proper mood. So this mood and the service, act of service, this is what we try to cultivate in this material world when we become part of this spiritual organization. This was the whole idea of Srila Prabhupada starting this ISKCON movement. That he gives us a chance that you all get together, serve Krishna, get trained, get purified, purify the consciousness, purify the activities, and then finally when we leave the body, we are pure enough then we don't belong to the material world. We go back to the spiritual. But it takes time. It's a slow process. It takes time. So finally, Prabhupada writes in this purport, this Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader. Look at all the words that Prabhupada is using. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It gradually elevates the unbiased reader, means without any other motivation when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It can take us there. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities: fruitive actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities as inculcated in Vedic verses. So it will enable the reader to transcend the three modes of material activities. Three modes of material activities are fruitive activities, means karma kanda; speculative activities, means jnana kanda; and worship of functional deities as inculcated in Vedic verses, which is part of Upasana Kanda, means just worshipping them as part of, fruitive actions means Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and other Jnana Yoga, whatever they want to call it. And look at the words, worship of functional deities as inculcated in Vedic verses. So functional deities means just for some function or just for some purpose, we worship or we serve these deities. But worship of Radha and Krishna or Sitaram, Lakshmana, Hanuman, Sitaram, in proper mood, with proper bhakti, with proper consciousness, that is what Srimad Bhagavatam takes us to. That's why in the next verse, when we read, it is said that in Bhagavatam, all the other kind of religion, means which brings us back into the material world to take us birth, death again, that is completely rejected from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam only and only stresses on pure devotional service. So this is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. And like Prabhupada nicely writes, will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It will gradually elevate us if we read it properly. And that's why Bhagavatam is called Amala Puran. Amala means there is no fault, there is not even a tinge of any other activity, even Karam Kand or Gyan Kand or anything else, nothing. Only and only it stresses on is bhakti. That's why Bhagavatam is considered the epitome of all the Vedic literature. Epitome, the topmost literature. And this is what, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we're trying to study now. So I'll unmute you all and ask if anybody has any questions. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? So I guess no questions then. So should we stop here? Although so I think we'll stop here, and you all have a good day and try to read this purport of Srimad Bhagavatam and ponder over it. And let's meet. Then tomorrow evening we will meet 4 to 5 p.m. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much.
Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.